Ashwini, and as I looked at preparing for this topic, it felt like this required a visit to first principles. So I opened up the dictionary, and first of all, I looked up the meaning of value. It has a couple of interesting meanings. The most common one, of course, is the monetary worth of something, and that's kind of obvious. How much does something cost? But a more interesting one for the people in this room is value is also defined as the relative worth of something. Now, as project and program leaders, you're no stranger to that idea. Scope creep one day, it's time the next day, it's cost. And on day 4, it's something else altogether. So bear that thought in mind on the relative worth of something as a notion of value. And even that notion is changing. We'll see that in a couple of minutes. Then I thought about skills and capabilities and abilities, common everyday words, but they hide a number of nuances underneath. So ability, and I love this definition, is acquired proficiency. So not something you're born with necessarily. You have to work at acquiring that skill, that ability. Capability is also an interesting one, and it has the notion of potentiality inside it. So something that you are capable of doing or becoming, and both are important. They're important for this community because one question that comes up, we're not going to address that today, but one question that comes up is what next for project managers? And not an easy question to answer, but I'm sure that you've been thinking about it. Certainly I think about it a lot. So those two things, value as the relative worth of something and an ability which is an acquired proficiency. And I will actually summarize my presentation right now. So if you do not remember anything from this session, please just remember this. All of us, especially the project and program leader community, needs to work at understanding what value is for your company, for your department, for your team, for yourself. So understand what it is. It could be some of the older world notions of margin or cash flow or return on investment. It could also be those plus sustainability or DE&I or other notions of ESG, of trust and ethics and legacy. All new ideas, relevant ideas that are coming up very swiftly. Whatever it is, you need to understand that, A. B, you need to be able to manage that, to shape it into directions that you want to take it in, that your company wants to take it in. Without that, you will find that your jobs as project and program managers will remain very, very difficult. You will tend to get landed with difficult tasks and become, as one of our research points out, prisoners of the iron triangle, scope, time, cost. But the project manager's job is a lot more than that. You are, in fact, mini CEOs. You start doing something, you promise value, outcomes, benefits, and you're supposed to deliver them on time. That's more or less what a CEO does. That's what they stand up and defend every quarter in front of their investors. So if you remember nothing at all, please understand deeply what value is, what the levers are that you need to shape it. The rest is detail. We'll get into that now. So the reason why this is so important now, and there are different lists of megatrends that are unfolding around us. This is our list. Digital disruption, civil civic movements, economic shifts. What is common to all of these things, apart from the fact that they are big changes? What is common is that they all carry a notion of value disruption. Anybody who's opened up their energy bill lately or tried to fill up a tank at the gas station knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's very visceral now. It's very real. It's personal. And that is due to many of these trends unfolding. So understand, please, that these are not academic notions of mega trends. They have a real effect on cash flows, your organization's cash flows. So it's very, very important to map all that with the notion of value that we spoke about and the implications for skill sets, capabilities. Obviously, this means that a new work ecosystem has, in fact, emerged. It's still playing out, so the jury is still out on whether 70% of the workforce will return to office or will work from home or from Starbucks. It doesn't really matter. What will continue to matter is that your stakeholders will be constantly asking you on outcomes, on benefits, on outputs, and value. So that needs to be understood. Another word here that caused me to go back to, not the dictionary, but PMI.org, is the definition of the word project. I think we need to increasingly unpack that definition. And the PMI definition happens to be that it is a specific set of tools and techniques in order to create value, that word again, for people. And and you can look up the definition. It's on our website. You can create a piece of software. You can create an iPhone, a bottle of water. There's some value that you're creating. That's what it is all aimed at. So a project makes it sound simple, but it is obviously a very complex set of activities. And how that happens now needs to change. And this is an example of the so-called new notion of value. On the left-hand side, and hopefully you can read them, the trends that have been unfolding over the last few years. So nothing new about those things. Digital transformation, business strategy, organization adaptability, project management maturity, culture. These are the trends that are unfolding, and they are accelerating. In fact, one interesting thing to note about that list in terms of the top 3, they are all around choices on strategy that organizations are having to work with. They're making fundamental decisions on how to play. Everybody needs to become a software company now. Everybody wants to have a digital storefront and wrestle with issues of DE&I and talent management and operational efficiency, et cetera. But those 3 at the top, that means that organizations are dealing with some fundamental, foundational issues. Then on the right-hand side, I love this quotation from Cognizant, a large IT services company. They employ about 400,000 people. This is from their earnings call a couple of months ago. And let me read this out. It's interesting. Clients are embracing digital operating models to become more efficient, more agile, more automated, more scalable, more innovative, and indeed more secure, while also responding to the expectations of their customers and employees for hyper-personalized experiences. I look at that and say, if you get one of these things right in 1 year, that's good going. But that's what clients are asking for. They want all those things, and they want them right now, and that is hard work. Many of us are going to be tasked with delivering some or all of that. And it's very, very important to understand that the cognitive and emotional load that it places upon project managers is enormous. And back we go to the notion of an acquired proficiency, the reskilling and upskilling required by the profession to be able to deal with those sort of expectations. Now,